good, people. Oh, we got a breakdown. House of the Dragons, season 3 teaser. This just came out, and this was insane.
Where were you?
Alicent came to Dragonstone.
To the Red Keep.
You cannot trust her. King has abdicated the... A new dawn is king's.
Of dragons, you have an absolute grasp.
Rhaenyra will send her new dragons here.
The moment you become queen.
At first, we see Alicent as she's heading towards the throne room. Who's on the throne? Aemon. We saw this a bit in some previous HBO teasers, but HBO have now released this, and now we can see that Alicent is going to the throne room where she's going to Aemon, who has Blackfire swords. Now, if you know the Sword of Blackfire, you know this has some relevant relations to what we've watched at Night of the Seven Kingdoms when they refer to Blackfire. And of course, if you know the Blackfire Rebellion, which maybe unraveled a lot more in A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, they've linked it slightly to, well, this scene per se. So Alicent is going towards the throne room and she's heading to Aemon. As Aemon right now, given the fact that, Aegon's fleed, he really right now is the king on the actual throne for now, for the time being. And the significant thing that Aemon says to her is, what you been doing? Where you been? That's very significant because it really takes forward to where we left off. Last time, Alicent was, of course, with Rhaenyra trying to plead for help. Alicent really doesn't want to be in the situation no more. She tired. She don't want this no more. She don't want this, bro. But Aemon ain't even trying to let go. Aemon's out here like, he can't trust anybody. He really wants to go forefront with this war. Alicent don't want this because she knows there's going to be a bloodshed. And it's really bringing her back to the fact that, she never really had beef properly with Rhaenyra. It was a lot of confusion. And right now, she doesn't want to be in this. But it's too late, You have your son who's on the throne right now, ready for war. He trying to crash out. And then after we see this, of course, that she's so worried, we see the next scene where you have Rhaenyra, our queen. So Rhaenyra is here speaking of what Alicent is doing in terms of opening the Red Keep. Jace is looking at her like, bruh, you can't trust her, bro. We all know that there's no way that it will be that easy. The Greens ain't just gonna give up like that, And Jace, of course, he's seen the other side of the family. They ain't like the Blacks, They're going to fight for that throne no matter what. Especially the fact that Aegon's already taken place as coronated king of the Seven Kingdoms. There's no way it can go off like that. They've already killed her son, already Lucerian. So there's no way that they can really trust Alicent. At the end of the day, she's still a Hightower. She's part of the Green. So that's why Jace is a bit like, and Jace is being like that already. He's been a bit unsure with others in general when it comes to other dragon riders, like your Ulfs, thinking about, okay, can I really trust anybody right now? So he's going to be going through his own situation there. And, on top of that, we get a glimpse of Daemon. Daemon, he's going to help charge forward. He's just left Harrenhal. They've already kind of known that, of course, Aemon gonna come to Harrenhal for a fight, so he already plotting with his own army. He set out his own army now with alliance to Rhaenyra, and they're gonna go and take over the Red Keep. If the Red Keep's available, they're gonna take over, and this is how we're gonna see in the beginning of the episodes in this season how they're gonna take over the Red Keep and take over that area, King's Landing, which is very interesting. She's at Dragonstone here, and she wants to get to where she needs to be. You start seeing the actual checkboard of where they're planning, and it shows they're placing a fair few dragons, should I say, in a particular area where they're planning ahead. Rhaenyra's got a plan, and it could be the Battle of Tumbleton they're referring to, because that's where we're going to get a lot of these dragons. A lot of the dragon alliances is going to come from that. So we can imagine that's going to be very significant. A lot of the key characters with dragons, they're going to be fighting in this final battle, which I believe will be in the final season, season 3. So we can expect the Battle of Tumbleton will definitely be a big, big, big thing coming in for this particular season as well. And on top of that, we then see Aegon. Aegon's already been burnt to death thanks to his brother. Bro out here, with Larry Strong. So he's making his way, trying to get his feet back up, you know. And what's going to be significant is the fact that, of course, he needs to find his foot, find his dragon. Then next, it goes to Ormond Hightower. Now, Ormond Hightower is the oldest brother. This is very funny because it seems as though he's younger than Otto, but he's the oldest brother of the Hightower. So you see, he's taking charge as general, and he's actually taking care of Prince Daeron, who's one of the youngest of Alicent's children. So Alicent is all lined up here. It could probably be referring to the Battle of Tumbleton. That's why he stood here. But it could be earlier scenes. But he's going to play a major role in this Battle of Tumbleton as general for the Hightowers and the Greens. So you get the chance to see Tesserian, the Queen, the Blue Queen. This is the Blue Dragon. Tesserian is known to be very, not too big, but fast. This is a fast and rapid dragon that we knows referenced a lot in the books, if you've, of course, read the books. So you can imagine Tesserians now come, and of course that's Daeron's dragon, and Daeron's very respected as a young prince who is going to be led by the Greens. So he's going to play a big factor going forward with some of these fights in the future, especially Dance of the Dragons in general, Tumbleton, all of this stuff. He's going to be all involved. So Tazarian is going to be, you see the Blue Dragon, and oh no, we hype. You also see Vhagar. They show Vhagar just dismantling, and it looks as though he's dismantling Harrenhal. If they stick to the books, that could be the case where they're really dismantling Harrenhal. And you can imagine the guys over there who have pledged allegiance to Rhaenyra are going through it now, because one thing to pledge, but now you're going to look at the after effects of why you've pledged now. Now you're going to deal with the after effects of that, which they'll deal with. And the fact that you've got Vhagar out here with Aemond, Aemond going to be on smoke, So this looks like it's going to be a crazy battle. You also see Rhaenyra staring into fire. You can almost imagine what's going on here. We're not quite sure. But, she's going to go through a lot of trauma through this season. That's one thing for sure. It's not going to be an easy season for the Blacks. This is one thing we've prepared. There's going to be some fights, some wins, going to be some losses. So it really goes forward to the Battle of Gully. The Battle of Gully is, as the Maester says, one of the bloodiest battles in House of the Dragons. And this was a crazy battle, crazy sea battle. Of course, we saw early before Thailand and his men, in terms of the Gold Company, the Three Sisters, and the fact that they pushed forward with Thailand to go against, of course, Lord Corlys and the guys over there. And you can see Lord Corlys, he's going through it as well. This is going to be a crazy, bloodiest battle. You see he's staring at something. We're quite not sure what that is. He's got his son involved as well. His son that he's never had a proper relationship with, who's going to fight side by side, which is going to be a very interesting dynamic. So that's going to be very interesting to see. And then, Butcher's, it feels like Butcher's Ball. It feels like there's going to be a few of those battles. Butcher's Ball seems to be one of those ones that we expect to see. Also, we seeing the Blacks. They look like they've just taken over the Red Keep. We see Daemon. They're out here just taking over Red Keep in general. They're really going to take over King's Landing and show their power towards everything, which is going to be insane. Further over scenes, it seems as though it may be the Battle of Tumbleton we're seeing going forward. That a lot of these, characters like your Daerons with Tesserian, they're going to play a big factor into. And then you see Jace, of course, with Vermax. This is going to be very interesting. He's coming through because the Battle of God is going to be a crazy battle. But Jace out here just trying to take ships apart. So you almost see he's saying, Dracarys! That's absolutely insane. Like, I love the fact that you came out and said that, because we need to see this. We need to see the Jace in this fight. Like, this is going to be the fight of his life. No spoilers, but it's going to be the fight of his life. So we're going to see that as well. They're showing Kristen Cole. I can't stand Kristen Cole. Like, I'm tired of this guy, bro. But this could be Butcher's Ball. Butcher's Ball is very interesting. There's a lot of more characters that we expect to see. They showed the Winter Wolves probably before in one of the older scenes of what HBO was showing. But we expect to see all those guys in fashion, So that fight's going to be crazy. Aegon's here. He's discovered some fire again. This seems very interesting. A lot of people have had controversies. The fact that they thought that maybe Sunfire was dead. And Sunfire can't be dead because of what the end tells us, we know a lot of that in terms of some clues, especially in Game of Thrones. Gave some spoilers, but We expect some fights, of course, be around for that. It's gonna be tough watching these scenes, you know, how this is gonna end, but you know, we're gonna see a lot of that in general. So, and we see some fair other scenes, but throughout this battle, we see that this particular show art is gonna be crazy. You know, you can imagine that going forward, House of the Dragon season 3 is just going to be full on battle, which they haven't been able to show. I think maybe because of budgets, you know, we've not been able to get 10 whole episodes. I can imagine we could have at least got the Butler got it started off from season 2, but we're getting that all in season 3, which is going to make season 3 crazy. You know, we've had a whole gap, and now we're moving into this new found season, and I think this is going to be very interesting to say the least. So we can't wait to see much of this. Also, watch out for my reactions and breakdowns for A Night in the Seven Kingdoms. That's gonna come out for that Sunday night, so definitely watch out for that. And definitely stay tuned for more. Stay tuned for more. It's going to be crazy. So definitely watch out for more. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. Expression.